John Gruden is done. The Chargers and Browns game was pretty fun. A lot of boys got hurt this weekend. I wore a fancy shirt, and the Packers won a tense one. Welcome to the Mish Po. Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the Week 6 episode of the Mish Po. As you can see, I've got a beer. Oh, and if you didn't notice, it's a KBC beer, which is a beer that I like, brewery that I like. Also, I got it from a gift from a family friend because I got married over the weekend, so that's pretty cool. Great time overall. Definitely, I would do it again, but won't for obvious reasons. But yeah, let's crack into this and get going. Alrighty, the business is the same as has been the last couple weeks. Still a couple people yet to pay, but that's pretty much it though. I did mention that thing a little bit ago about doing a meeting kind of thing for keepers. So maybe we can get that going. I can send out a poll for dates and such. So, yeah, there hasn't been any trades since last time. Let's get into the matchups. The first one was very stressful, which is me versus Michael. I really did not think I had a chance to win this one, being down 35 points, 37 points at the start of Monday Night Football. But I only ended up losing by about 6. If I would have put anybody in besides Kenny Galladay, I would have won. But, that just happens sometimes. Michael ended up winning this close one. 136.6 to 130.28, and 63% of people got that one correct. Moving on to a very not close game. It's probably actually the biggest blowout of the week. Derrick versus Fiala. Not much here to say. Derrick didn't start his team's namesake, which, still wouldn't have helped him get the win there, but definitely would have made it closer. Final score of this one, Fiala won 156.18 to 83.62. And you'd think that's the highest score of the week. No, this next matchup, the highest scoring matchup of the week, T-Corn versus Caleb. Definitely one for the ages. Those Chargers definitely helped you out there, T-Corn. You got the win here, 181.42 to 132.9. So, Caleb, and 88% of people got that one correct. Caleb, he scored a lot of points, but, if you go up against 181 points, not much you can do there. That may be the highest point total on the season so far, but, yeah, T-Corn, congrats on the highest score of the week. Moving us on to State versus Abbey, another very high-scoring game. Both teams above 120 and had a team above 160. So that 156 from Fiala seeming not actually that great. It is really great, but, could have been its third for the week. So that's pretty crazy to think about. Yeah, this one was going into Monday night, another one of the situations where you needed some help from some boys. And you know what, Abby? You got it. Mark Andrews came in strong with a 41.7 points. He got you that win. That's, if you would have taken away Mark Andrews, he probably still would have won, but he did great regardless. Abby got the win here, 162.14 to 122.66, and 63% of people got that one correct. Moving us on to Bruce versus Lincoln. This one was decided on Monday night by Lamar Jackson. A lot of games came down on Monday night this week. Pretty high scoring as well. Lincoln got the win here, 141.38 to 120.7, and only 38% of people got that one correct. Moving us on to Colin versus Adam. This one was, pretty relatively high-ish scoring. Maybe not for this week, but, in general. Had a team of up 140, and that was Colin. 144.44 for Colin to Adams 101.98, and 50% of people got that one correct. Moving us on to the last matchup of the week, Sam versus Brian. This one was pretty close as well. If it wasn't for me and Michael, this would have been the closest matchup of the week. And Brian, you got yourself your first win, winning 109.26 to 95.08, with a 63% of people getting that one correct. For the week, I went 5-2, season record 18-17. And the weekly points leader is Derrick. He got 7 points this week. The season leader is still State with 28, and the best average is still State with 5.6. So that'll conclude this past week's matchups. Alrighty, moving on to the power rankings for this week. Number 14, we've got Adam. Your team is just being injured left and right. That's honestly probably why you're here. You lost Juju for the season, and Russ for a decent amount of weeks. You don't have the worst record, but, you know, the remaining teammates that you have, or not the remaining players that you have on your team, you know, we'll see what happens. Adam at 14. Number 13, we've got Sam. You lost a relatively close one to this past week to Brian. You dropped one spot in the power rankings from 12 last week. So that's Sam at 13. Number 12, we've got Brian getting your first win last week against Sam. So we'll see if you can keep it going this upcoming week. You climbed up 2 spots in the power rankings, so Brian at 12. Number 11, we've got Derrick. Scored, I think, the least amount of points on the week. You would have scored better had you started Gaskin, but, you know, we'll see if you can perform this week, and you'll probably need a lot of points because it's going to be a tough matchup for you this week. So that's Derrick at 11. Number 10, we've got Colin. You jumped up 3 spots from number 13 last week after your pretty solid victory there against Adam. We'll see if you can keep it going this upcoming week and get your 3rd win on the season to get back to 500. So that is Colin at number 10. Number 9, we've got Bruce. You were winning going into Monday night, but you ended up losing thanks to Lamar Jackson. You dropped 3 spots from number 6, but we'll see if you can rebound this upcoming week. So that is Bruce at 9. Number 8, I've got myself. Even though I scored a decent amount of points, I didn't get the dub. So, don't have one of the best records in the league, but, you know, that happens. Hopefully, though, I can perform this week because I do have a pretty tough opponent. So that's me at 8. Number 7, we've got Lincoln. Put up a pretty solid performance this past week. Definitely helped out by Lamar. Climbed 2 spots from number 9 last week, and you'll need some more good performances this upcoming week as you've got a pretty solid opponent coming up. So that is Lincoln at 7. Number 6, we've got State Farm. You know, you lost. You didn't do terribly in terms on the point front, but you know, that's sometimes just how the cookie crumbles. You are still number 6, which is pretty good. You dropped 3 spots from number 3 last week, and it should be a pretty close one upcoming for you. So that is State Farm at 6. Number 5, we've got Michael, the man who beat me last week. Hold on. Anyways, 5, Michael, beat me last week. Moving up to 3-2. About half the league actually has got winning records, so you're one of those teams, Michael. Got a pretty decent opponent, so we'll see if you can. I think you're on or no, that's Lincoln. Lincoln's on a 3-game win streak, but you're on a 1-game win streak right now, so we'll see if you can make that too. Moving us on to number 4, Fiala. Despite putting up over 150 points, you had the 3rd highest on the week, high scoring week this past week. You went up 1 spot after your your victory against Derrick, and you've got a pretty solid opponent coming up. So we'll see if you can keep it going. Do have a couple players on bye this week, so we'll see if you can combat those and get yourself a win. Moving us on to number 3, we've got Abby. You've moved up 1 more spot. Just keep moving up. Number 4 last week, you beat your husband, State Farm, so that's pretty nice for you, I'm sure. Probably not for him, but upcoming, you've got a moderately tough opponent. As tough as it could be, or I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's Abby at 3. Moving on to number 2, we've got Caleb, your first loss of the season at the hands of T-Corn. You've got an opponent that you probably can rebound against. But yeah, Caleb at 2. Moving us on to number 1, we've got T-Corn. Tied for the best record in the league, and you just beat the team that had the best record. So you can, by default, put you at the top, and I think you may even be leading the league, or at least your division, in points scored. So yeah, you're up there for sure. Yeah, I think you're number 1 in points scored for the season. You know, that's pretty good for you. Moved up 1 spot from number 2 to number 1. Hopefully you don't do super great this week for just, you know, some reasons that we don't have to talk about right now. But yeah, that's T-Corn at number 1. Alrighty, now I have a special guest. This person has never been on the Mish Po before, nor does she really want to be. But I'm making her. Introducing my wife, Bree.
Hello.
So before we get into the matchups, which I know you've prepared a lot for.
Of course.
I have questions. First up, do you like fantasy football?
I don't. I would never play it.
Okay, cool. Do you enjoy how much I talk about fantasy football?
No, you talk about it far too much.
Alrighty. Well, who do you think the best fantasy player in our league is?
Bruce.
Wow. Do you see where he is in the power rankings?
That means nothing. That's just your opinion.
Whatever. He's 2 and 3.
Okay, I thought you just meant the league, not just this year.
Whatever. Anyway, who do you think the worst player in our fantasy league is?
Derrick.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, that's pretty good. What is your favorite part about fantasy football, if you have a favorite part?
Well, sometimes talking strategy with you is a little bit of fun, but also it just keeps you busy, so I can do my own stuff.
Alrighty. And as you know, Abby and State are both in this league. Would you ever, I know you probably already said this, but would you ever consider joining the league?
No.
Would you even, what about if you were just like a co-manager with me?
Would you let me do anything?
I mean, you could, but I'd be, majority owner of the team.
Well, what's the point of joining if you're just gonna do everything?
Fine, you don't get to join. Alrighty, now we're gonna play a little game. I don't know if you've seen the games, but I, based it off of something specific on the person that's on the show. But you don't know anything about football really, so I just did general NFL players. We've got 3 of them. First clue, he was the number 8 pick in the 2017 NFL draft. He's 25 years old. He's a running back. Is that anything?
No.
He plays for the Carolina Panthers.
Are they blue?
That's one of their colors, yeah.
Do you have any other hints?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
His number is 22, like his jersey number.
Okay.
And this is the last hint. His nickname is CMC.
Can you just give me a hint toward his name?
His nickname is CMC.
Is
And
it initials?
Sort of, yes.
Well, I don't know.
Alright, well, that was Christian McCaffrey.
Oh.
Have you heard of the name?
I've heard the name.
Yep, okay. So that's the player 1. Player 2, first clue, he was the number 1 overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft, so just 2 years ago. He is 24 years old and is a quarterback. Any guesses?
A quarterback from 2019.
Yes.
So that's not the one that we were talking about. That was
No.
That was last year.
Right.
And last year also is when they drafted a quarterback in the first round for the Packers, right? That was last year.
That was 2020.
Okay, so I don't know.
Alrighty, he plays for the Arizona Cardinals.
That's right.
That sure is. He's number 1, and his nickname, one of his nicknames is K1, and the K is the first letter of his first name.
Keith.
Nope, Kyler Murray. Alrighty, so far so good. Player 3, we've got, he was the 165 in the 2016 NFL draft, so he's a bit older, at the age of 27. He was the wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, they're right.
They are right, yes. He's number 10. We've talked about him before, I'm sure. Or you've heard his name. His nickname is the Cheetah.
Because he's fast.
He's very fast.
Well, that doesn't help me.
Alrighty, well, this was, of course, Tyreek Hill.
Oh, of course. I don't
So-
know how I missed that one.
Yeah, well, I'm sure every other person in this league would have gotten all those correct, but obviously not you. Well, we might have got cut off right there. I don't know. I guess we'll see you later, but on to the game predictions.
Oh, of course.
Okay, so first up, first matchup is me versus T-Corn. My key players are Ryan Tannehill and AJ Dillon. Ryan Tannehill because he's been not super great this season, and he's going up against Buffalo, and he's my only quarterback that's not on a bye this week, so I have to play him. I guess I could pick up a quarterback, but I probably won't. And then AJ Dillon, Alvin Kamara is on a bye, and so I'm going to be starting AJ Dillon. Last week he got 17.9 points, and he's going up against the Bears this week, so I'm hoping that he can repeat that stellar performance. On the other side, we've got Justin Herbert for T-Corn, who did very, very good last week, scoring 42.82 points. So hopefully he doesn't do that again. And then Jacoby Myers has been pretty solid-ish. Not super great last week, but going up against Dallas, they'll probably have to throw the ball more. I picked myself as the upset pick for this matchup. I originally had picked T-Corn, but then I realized I didn't have an upset pick, so I switched it to me.
Classic.
Who do you think's going to win?
Oh, well, T-Corn's going to win.
Okay. Well, moving on to the next one. We've got Fiala versus Lincoln. First up, key player for Fiala, we've got Michael Pittman, who did pretty good last week. Actually, as of this recording yesterday, scored 20.9 points, so he was pretty good, and he's going up against Houston this week. So we'll see if they need to pass the ball as much. And then Kadarius Toney also did very good last week, scoring almost 30 points before he punched a dude. Does have a little bit of an ankle injury, but it's not seemingly a significant injury. So we'll see if Toney can continue the great performance that he had last week. This week, moving us on to another guy who had a great performance last week, Lamar Jackson, helped you get the win there, Lincoln. Scored 40.88 points against Indy, gets the Chargers this week, so that very well could be a back-to-back and forth matchup, so see if Lamar can keep it going. And then Chase Edmonds only scored 3.4 points last week after being above 12.5 every week before then, so we'll see if Chase can bounce back against Cleveland in what could be a very high-scoring matchup. For this matchup, I picked my winner as Lincoln.
I also choose Lincoln because I've heard of Lamar Jackson and I haven't heard of any of those other ones.
Alrighty. Moving us on to Caleb versus Derrick. First up, key players for Caleb. We've got James Conner, the other Arizona running back. Did 10.7 points last week, so not too bad. And just like with Chase Edmonds, it's probably going to be a high-scoring matchup. So we'll see if James Conner gets himself involved. And then another Arizona Cardinal, AJ Green, 2.3 points last week. Not super great, but the 3 weeks before that was pretty solid. So let's see if AJ Green can bounce back in what's poised to be a high-scoring matchup, if you hadn't heard that before. Moving us on to someone that you're probably very familiar with, Christian McCaffrey. He's been out since week 4. Well, I guess week 3 technically, but has not played last 2 matchups. But he is hopeful to play this upcoming week against Minnesota. So we'll see if Christian McCaffrey can get back out there. And then Myles Gaskin, who of course was on your bench when he scored 31.9 points. So we'll see if Myles can do that again, but this time in your lineup. For this matchup, I picked Caleb as my winner.
So, Caleb's players are on the what team?
This is Caleb over here.
Yeah, what team are they on? You said they're both on the same team, right?
Who?
James Conner and AJ Green?
Yeah.
What team are they on?
The Cardinals.
Who are they playing?
They're playing Cleveland.
What's Cleveland's record?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Like 4-1, I think.
Has Derrick won any games yet?
Yes, he has won 2 games.
Okay, I'll pick Derrick for this one.
I don't understand the logic there, but alright. Moving us on to Bruce versus Adam. First up, key player for Bruce, we've got Chris Carson, also dealing with injury, much like Christian McCaffrey. We'll see if he can play this week up against Pittsburgh. And then Adam Thielen, who, Adam Thielen, who has not been doing very good the last 2 weeks. So we'll see if he can bounce back against a tough Carolina defense. And then key players for Adam, we've got Devin Singletary, who has not been doing great the last 3 weeks, but he's going up against Tennessee, and they're not that great of a defense. So we'll see if he can get himself involved. And then Sterling Shepard, one of many injured players on Adam's team, has been out for 2 weeks now, so we'll see if he can play this week against the Rams. For this matchup, I picked my winner as Bruce, and I picked him as my lock pick for the week.
I'll also choose Bruce.
Moving us on to Colin versus Brian. Key players for Colin. I just said the Brown boys because you have 3 of them. Marquise, who had a great week last week. Antonio also had a great week last week. And then you currently don't have AJ Brown in your starting lineup. But I assume, or no, you don't have Antonio Brown in your starting lineup, but I just mentioned he was good last week. But then there's AJ Brown, who's been hurt. He came back this past week and did not super great. So if he can improve on his performance from last week, you don't have Antonio Brown, but I assume he'll put him in over Marvin Jones. But Marvin Jones also didn't do super great last week. But anyway, Brian's key players, we've got Allen Robinson, who has just continued to suck this season, only scoring 7.2 points last week, and he's going up against the Packers this week, so we'll see if he can do something.
Probably not.
Yeah, and then Darren Waller, who is one of the best tight ends in the league, but last week was only held to 8.5 points, so we'll see if he can bounce back against Denver this week. For this matchup, I picked my winner as Colin.
I'm also gonna pick Colin.
Yep, good. Anyway, Moving us on to Michael versus State Farm. First up for Michael, we've got Robert Woods, who he did pretty good last week. Scored almost 30 points. Was really hoping he didn't do that. I probably would have beat you if he didn't. Anyways, we'll see if he can continue that against the Giants. And then TJ Hawkinson did not do super great last week. In fact, he has not done great this past 3 weeks. So we'll see if he can bounce back against Cincinnati this upcoming week. Moving us on to State's key players. First up, we've got Damian Williams, who's the probably starter for the Bears this week. Did all pretty good last week in his fill-in role, and he's going up against the Packers, who don't have a great run defense, so we'll see how well Damian can do. And then DJ Moore, who did not do super great last week, only 8.8 points, so we'll see if he can bounce back this week against Minnesota. I picked this matchup to be a winner from Michael.
I'm going to pick State Farm for this one.
Moving us on to our final matchup of the week, we've got Abby versus Sam. Key players for Abby, we've got Stefan Diggs, who did not do super great last week, 8.9 points, but Lily's getting upset. He goes up against Tennessee this week, so not a great defense there, so we'll see if he can rebound. And then Mark Andrews, who had a very good last week, he scored 41.7 points against Indianapolis, so we'll see if he can keep that up against a tough Chargers team that bound to have a shootout there. And then Tyler Lockett for Sam last week, not that great, okay, but not that great. 10.7 goes up against Pittsburgh this week, so we'll see if he can turn that around. And then Hunter Henry, pretty solid the last couple weeks, scoring 19.5 the last week alone. Goes up against Dallas this week, who likes to give up points to the tight end, so we'll see if Hunter Henry can have himself a good game. And I picked myself to pick Abby for this winner for the matchup.
You're talking really fast there, but I'll also pick Abby.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, because Lily's getting upset up there, so I'm just trying to get through it. But yeah, so we both picked Abby on that one. So yeah, that'll just about do it. Thanks for finally coming on in 3 years.
I think I was on one other time.
In the background, maybe, but...
No, I think I was.
Oh, well, I don't remember. I've done a lot of these. Anyways, thanks for coming on. So with that, thank you.
And thank you.
Also, after we finished recording, Bree said that she doesn't think we need to do the key players for every matchup. And, of course, she's always right. But I want you guys to let me know what you think. So yeah, thank you. And thank you. Alrighty. I'm gonna call this flip on Michael for beating me, and I'm still upset about it. Oh. Darn. Leave it.